Okay, welcome back, delegates. Before we start, kindly make sure to inform the Secretariat if your internet connection is unstable. The chair would also like to remind every delegate to please turn on your cameras. However, if your internet connection is unstable, you are allowed not to do so. But please state your reason in the chat box. Now we shall proceed to the roll call of delegates. Let us start with the delegate of France,
Present.
delegate of United Kingdom,
Present.
delegate of Honduras,
Present.
delegate of Brazil,
Present and voting.
delegate of Switzerland,
Present.
delegate of Norway,
Present.
delegate of Barbados,
Present.
delegate of St. Lucia,
Present.
delegate of Cameroon,
Present.
delegate of Benin,
Present.
delegate of Kazakhstan, delegate of Kazakhstan, absent, delegate of Tunisia, delegate of Tunisia, absent, delegate of Uzbekistan,
Present.
delegate of Algeria,
Present.
delegate of Sudan,
Present.
delegate of Jordan,
Present.
delegate of Mongolia, delegate of Mongolia, delegate of New Zealand,
Present.
delegate of Australia,
Present.
delegate of Sri Lanka,
Present.
delegate of Maldives, delegate of Maldives, delegate of Malaysia, delegate of Malaysia, delegate of Philippines.
Present.
Calling again the other delegates, delegate of Kazakhstan, delegate of Kazakhstan, delegate of Tunisia, delegate of Tunisia, delegate of Mongolia, delegate of Mongolia, and delegate of Maldives, delegate of Maldives, absent. Moving on, we are now in a formal debate. Please press the raise hand button if there are any delegates who would like to motion on the floor. Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil motions to set the agenda to alien invasion everywhere, alien adopts children of head of states, and they feed on their dreams.
The delegate of Brazil motions to set the agenda to alien invasion everywhere, alien abducts children of heads of states, and they feed on their dreams. Are there any objections to this motion? Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes, and the agenda will be focusing upon alien invasion everywhere, alien abducts children of heads of states, and they feed on their dreams. We begin with the opening speeches. All delegates are to give a speech as we will go in an alphabetical order. With that concluded, are there any motions on the floor? Delegate of France, you've been recognized.
France motions to set the speaking time to 1 minute and 30 seconds.
The delegate of France motions to set the speaking time to 1 minute and 30 seconds. Are there any objections to this motion? Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion has been passed and each delegate will be having a maximum of 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. Secretary, please set the timer and delegates, you will be advised when your time is over. Thank you. Delegate of Algeria, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. You may start talk. The timer will begin once you start speaking. Delegate of Algeria. Delegate. Moving on to the next delegate, Delegate of Australia, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon. I am the delegate of Australia. Aliens started kidnapping the children of the head of the country. Australia believes that we should not let them take the children. While we shall not let the children get kidnapped, we should also think about the citizens. They might start to panic with the thought of their children might also get kidnapped. Australia says that we should increase our security and make military enlistment mandatory. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Barbados, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day. I am the delegates of Barbados. The issue in Barbados is discrimination against LGBT. We must understand and respect each person, especially their gender, as long as they are good citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Benin, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Our priority is the children, though we have to increase military security before anything else. Even though the children are the ones we need to make sure we need to prioritize the safety of our citizens first, and then further action will be taken later on. I relinquish my side of the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Brazil, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. An invasion is happening. Our very right to freedom is being threatened. Children of the heads of states have been abducted and taken hostage, and these newly established enemies are feeding on the beautiful sweet dreams of the youth. Brazil has enlisted the help of its entire army. Naval and air superiority is yet to be established due to the increasing power of these alien invaders. The spaceships are taking over the seas and the skies. It is yet to be met with countermeasures developed by the Brazilian army. Brazil is helping defend the South American continent and is encouraging all countries to cooperate in stopping this invasion. Brazil has also implemented a mandatory military enlistment to gain more power to fight the invaders. Children have been relocated to shelters underground, and the children of the heads of states of Brazil have been kidnapped, and plans to save them are still being decided on. Brazil expects a large number of refugees fleeing from destroyed South American countries to settle in Brazil. The fate of our future lies in our next decision in this committee session. Brazil advises everyone to use their moves wisely. We should protect Earth and its future. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Cameroon, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking. Delegate of Cameroon. Moving on to the next delegate. Delegate of France, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, delegates of the House and Chairperson. We are here to discuss one of the issues of the world. As we all know, aliens are residents who were born elsewhere and are not a citizen of a country or a being that comes from another planet. The French States has a team of UFO hunters since thousands of UFO sightings are reported every year, but not many countries are willing to spend money investigating them. This team has access to military flight paths and is in touch with the Air Force and air traffic control. Though we don't have much action for these kinds of issues, France would like to tell you our preoccupation regarding this problem and the different solutions for this issue, and will give its best to lend a hand to make resolutions and may help in the said issue. That is all, and I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Honduras, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, fellow delegates. Honduras was subjected to an extraterrestrial invasion. We swiftly made a decision in which our military personnel committed to sacrifice their lives in order to battle and expel an illegal immigrant expatriates in our nation. Our military installation is available for sheltering. We intend to fight in a manner in which we have created air and ground support that are capable of maintaining a nuclear type of combat. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Jordan, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, delegates. I'm the delegate of Jordan, and I'll be discussing aliens in Jordan. The aliens here feed on dreams, and they adopt children. The solution towards this is keeping children in a safe shelter with enough security. The military will gain land by land each day. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of New Zealand, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, delegates and honorable chair. Researchers say they have conducted the first experiment to ever prove that close encounters with UFOs and extraterrestrials are a product of human mind. In a sleep study by the Out-of-Body Experience Research Center in Los Angeles, 20 volunteers were instructed to perform a series of mental steps upon waking up or becoming lucid during the night. That might lead them to have out-of-body experiences, culminating in perceived encounters with aliens. According to the lead researcher Michael Raduga, more than half of volunteers experience at least one full or partial out-of-body experience, and 7 of them were able to make contact with UFOs or extraterrestrials during this dreamlike experience. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Norway, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, fellow delegates and honorable chair. As we know, aliens are abducting children of the head of state to feed on their dreams. We should protect these children from being abducted. They are still children and they should not be going through this. Norway implemented a law that gives children protection from these aliens, also creating operations that will secure the safety of these children. We should not let these children out without any adult supervision so they don't get kidnapped by these beings. I suggest teaching the children easy self-defense and or giving them a whistle or bell to alarm if they are in danger. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Philippines, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, delegates. I am the delegate of the Philippines. Alien invasion problems are many kids have been kidnapped and noted missing. We should plan to put more funds into security and military services to protect the children of the head of state. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of St. Lucia, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, everyone. I am Delegate of St. Lucia and I will talk about the alien invasion. Since the aliens are abducting children now, it is best to keep the children inside when the aliens are around. Also, the security should be stronger and the police and the military should keep an eye on the aliens. The aliens must be defeated so the children will not suffer anymore. The psychological health of children will get damaged in a drastic way if they get abducted by the aliens. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Sri Lanka, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
The Republic of Sri Lanka believes that the children are important to the future of the country. The child of the head of the country may not have any important duties to execute, but their disappearance can affect how safe the people of each country feel. The delegation urges the countries of UNICEF to donate funds for countries that do not have enough security or military power to protect their people so that everyone can stay safe. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Sudan, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, fellow delegates. On the topic of the children being abducted by aliens, the delegation of Sudan proposes to have all the children of the heads of states be accompanied by a guard, so in case the aliens target that child, they will be able to protect them till more forces arrive. If the aliens decide to expand to abducting children of civilians, military forces should also be increased to keep guard on the streets. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Switzerland, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and delegates. Today we are experiencing a big issue. Aliens are abducting the children of heads of state and saying that they feed on their dreams. We shouldn't let these children fall in their hands. This is because children are our future, and if it's illegal for a normal human being to abduct someone, this should also be the case for these extraterrestrial beings. Switzerland has established strong forces of the army that will face these aliens. Their job is to protect the children of the head of the state in Switzerland. We are also creating more operations involving alien abduction. Switzerland is also partnering up with SCTI, a research organization, in order to understand the reason why they invaded Earth and discover their real objective. Training people to be an elite army that will fight these beings would be a great solution to this problem. With this, the abduction of children will hopefully decrease, creating shelters that will protect and give them education on what is happening to the world will also reduce the count of children being abducted. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of United Kingdom, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
The United Kingdom will be at the forefront of the effort to address the concerns of alien invasion shortly. We will support any proposals that this group comes up with. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. I would also like to remind the other delegates to please turn on your camera, but if you can't, please state your reason in the chat box. Moving on to the last delegate, Delegate of Uzbekistan. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, delegates. I'm the delegate of Uzbekistan. There is extraterrestrial life other than humans in space, and some of them may be more advanced civilization than humans, and they may be wandering because their planet's resources have been depleted. Aliens invasion everywhere. Adopting explains the claim that alien invasions take place everywhere and temporarily remove non-human creatures from familiar global environment by kidnapping individuals. And I'll yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Calling again the other delegates. Delegate of Algeria, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking. Delegate of Algeria. Going to the next delegate, Delegate of Cameroon. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking. Delegate of Cameroon. Okay, we shall now move on to the next procedure. Now, Um, we are now in a formal debate. Please press the raise hand button if there are any delegates who would like to motion on the floor. Delegate of France, you've been recognized.
France motions to entertain a moderated caucus.
Delegate of France motions to entertain an unmoderated caucus. Are there any delegates who seconds to this motion? Any delegates? See, seeing seconds, the motion passes, and we shall now move to the unmoderated caucus. Um, Please press the raise hand button. Delegate of France, you've been recognized.
Point of privilege.
For what purpose?
I said moderated, not unmoderated.
That has been acknowledged. Thank you, Delegate of France. We shall now proceed to the moderated caucus. Delegate of France, what will be the speaking time of each delegate and duration of the moderated caucus and the reason for the moderated caucus?
France motions to set the speaking time to 3 minutes and 10 minutes for the duration to discuss the possible solutions to stop this invasion.
Are there any objections to this motion? Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, 3 minutes would be given for the speaking time and 10 minutes for the moderated caucus for the reason of possible solutions to stop the invasion. We may now proceed to the moderated caucus. For those delegates who wish to be part of the special speakers list, please press the raise hand button. Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized. Delegate of Switzerland, you've been recognized. Delegate of France, you've been recognized. Any other delegates? Delegates? Seeing none, and we shall now move on. Delegate of Secretary. Can you please put down? Okay, thank you, Secretary. Delegate of Brazil, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Once again, Chairman Delegates. The invasion has caused massive problems to the faith of humanity. We should consider what our next actions are to save the earth. We need to decide now on how we are going to stop this invasion. Some believe that every country should form an alliance to fight back our alien invasions. Each country should implement a mandatory military investment because we need all the firepower we can get. Right now, it would be wise to fight the aliens head on. Our country should form a study team to conduct research on these aliens so that we know how to fight and defeat them. Also, encourages every country to evacuate the crowded cities and protect everyone. No country should refuse to take in refugees. We should consider these actions. One wrong move can be costly, and if we don't do anything to stop this invasion, the future of the human race may cease to exist. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Switzerland, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and delegates. Aliens are abducting the children of heads of state. Many children who have been abducted experience psychological damage, which will greatly affect their future. We should implement a law that will protect these children, ensuring that they will still receive a normal life that they should have. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Lastly, Delegate of France, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, delegates of the House. In France, as I said a while ago, the French state has a team of UFO hunters since thousands of UFO sightings are reported every year. But not many countries are willing to spend money investigating them. This team has access to military flight paths and is in touch with the Air Force and air traffic control. So the resolution that we thought of is to have more teams to investigate these UFO sightings to inform us whether there are aliens in our cities for us to be prepared beforehand. That's all, and I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Now, are there any motions on the floor at this time? Delegate of France, you've been recognized.
France motions to entertain another moderated caucus.
The Delegate of France motions to entertain another moderated caucus. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. Delegate of France, what will be the speaking time of each delegate and duration of the moderated caucus, as well as the reason for the moderated caucus?
France motions to set the speaking time to 3 minutes, 10 minutes for the duration, and to discuss whether to implement mandatory military enlistment or not.
Delegate of France, can you repeat once again the purpose?
To discuss whether to implement mandatory military enlistment or not.
Moving on, we may now proceed. We may now proceed to the moderated caucus. For those delegates who wish to be part of the special speakers list, please press the raise hand button. Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized. Delegate of Switzerland, you've been recognized. Any other delegates? Delegate of France, you've been recognized. Any other delegates? Seeing none, we shall now proceed. Delegate of Brazil, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon. We're here to discuss the implementation and mandatory military enlistment for all. This is to ensure that we have enough people to the vendors against the enemy. This is not the time to disagree with government. We should cooperate to defeat the invaders. So believes that by implementing mandatory military enlistment in all countries, we will be able to gain manpower to fight the enemy. Millions of lives lost from the first event. We need enough manpower to fight back. These people will work together to defend our planet. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Switzerland, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon once again. We should implement a mandatory military enlistment. This would lower the risk of the children getting abducted. They should learn basic self-defense actions that they should do when they are being abducted by an alien, and also provide them a weapon they can use against them. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Lastly, Delegate of France, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, delegates of the House. The other resolution that we thought of is to provide training to the citizens for them to be able to protect themselves or our country against alien abduction. Implementing mandatory military enlistment is a yes for us. This is because the military will have a ready and steady trained full of reservists to be able to defend the country, not just the children of heads of state. That is all, and I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, delegates. Now, are there any motions on the floor once again? Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil motions to entertain another moderated caucus.
The delegate of Brazil motions to entertain another moderated caucus. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. Delegate of Brazil, what will be the speaking time of each delegate and duration of the moderated caucus?
Brazil motions to set the speaking time to 3 minutes with a duration of 10 minutes to discuss should we conduct operations to save the kids of the head of states.
Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, we may now proceed to the moderated caucus. For those delegates who wish to be part of the special speakers list, please press the raise hand button once again. Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized. Delegate of Switzerland, you've been recognized. Delegate of France, you've been recognized. Any other delegates? Seeing none, we shall now move on to the speakers list. Delegate of Brazil, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, Chair and fellow delegates. The children are our future. It's our job to ensure that they are safe and protected. This job failed because children of heads of states have been abducted by these aliens. It is now up to us whether or not we should save these children. Brazil believes it is cruel to just let these children die as hostages in the hands of the aliens. Therefore, Brazil suggests plans to be made to save these children. These plans can be discussed once we have gathered enough data on our foes. Once the information is complete, we can plan accordingly and conduct these operations to save the children. Giving up on the children is like giving up on Earth's future. We need to act now. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Switzerland, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Once again, good afternoon, Honorable Chair and delegates. We should conduct operations to save the kids of the head of state because they are very important to our society. Protecting our children is protecting our future. Operations like giving them a safe place to stay, learning basic actions to take when getting abducted, and providing them a clear explanation of their situation will greatly help the country. This will also give the head of the state a clearer direction in running our country, knowing that their children are safe. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of France, you have 3 minutes to speak. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good day, delegates of the House. Children in France are important since they value children as the future. That is why France agrees to conduct operations to save the kids of the head of state. This is also a training for us to be able to be prepared once these kinds of problems happen in our country, or rather the whole world. That is all in the yearbook and for this year.
Thank you, Delegate. Now, would anyone like to motion on the floor? Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil motions to entertain an unmoderate caucus to discuss draft resolutions.
The Delegate of Brazil motions to entertain an unmoderated caucus. Are there any delegates who would like to second this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. Please press the raise hand button if you want to set a duration time for the unmoderated caucus. Delegate of Sri Lanka, you've been recognized. Delegate of Sri Lanka. Are there any other delegates who would like? Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil motions to set the duration for the unmoderated caucus for 60 minutes.
60 minutes, is that right, Delegate of Brazil?
Yes.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any delegates who seconds this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes and 60 minutes will be given for the unmoderated caucus. Those who wish to form their own blocks, please raise your hand and you shall be sent to your respective breakout rooms. Any delegate? Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil would like to form blocks with the delegates from the following countries: France, Switzerland, Australia, Benin, Honduras, Norway, Philippines, Sri Lanka, United Kingdom, and Sudan.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of France, Switzerland, Australia, Benin, Honduras, Norway, Philippines, Sri Lanka, United Kingdom, and Sudan. Do you agree with this block formation?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
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 Seeing that all countries that have been mentioned has agreed, you will then be added to the block as proposed by Brazil. Now, are there any other delegates who would like to form an alliance with the other delegates? Delegate of Cameroon, you've been recognized. Delegate of Cameroon.
Cameroon would like to form an alliance with the bloc of Brazil, France, Switzerland.
Block of the block of Brazil. Do you agree with this block formation from the delegate of Cameroon? Delegate of Brazil.
Yes, we agree with this block formation.
Delegate of Cameroon shall then be added to the bloc of Brazil. Now, are there any other delegates who wish to form an alliance? Any other delegates? Delegates? Seeing none, delegates who have formed the blocks shall then be put upon your breakout rooms within the time frame of 60 minutes. Those who doesn't have any blocks, please remain in the main room. Block of Brazil, please wait for the breakout rooms to be Are there 50 seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. Delegate Brazil, what will be the speaking time of each delegate and duration of the moderated caucus?
Brazil motions to set the speaking time to 3 minutes for a duration of 10 minutes.
And for what purpose, Delegate of Brazil?
To discuss the proposed draft resolutions.
Thank you, Delegate. Thank you, Delegate. The Delegate of Brazil motions to set the speaking time to 3 minutes and the duration of the moderated caucus to 10 minutes. And for the reason of discussing draft resolutions, are there any objections to this motion? C. Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. We shall now proceed to the presentation of draft resolutions. Delegates, please present your draft resolution. Motions to wait for your draft resolution to be presented on the screen, and you have 3 minutes to present. Afterwards, we will vote. It shall be passed as a resolution of the committee. Block representatives, please press the raise hand button to be given a place on the speakers list. Resolutions. Are there Delegate of Brazil, what will be the Delegate of Honduras? You've been recognized. Any other delegates? Seeing none, we shall now proceed in the presentation of the draft resolution. Block of Honduras, please present your draft resolution. Your timer will begin once you start speaking.
Good afternoon, fellow delegates. This is our draft resolution for the alien invasion everywhere. Alien abducts children of heads of states and they feed on their dreams. Our title is Cooperation of the Nations to Stop the Alien Invasion. The General Assembly is aware of the alien invasion that is taking place, noting with regret that the children of the head of states have been abducted, fully alarmed that these aliens are feeding on the dreams of the children, convinced that the world should work together to stop these aliens. First is to request countries to work together to stop the invasion. Second, recommends every nation to implement mandatory military enlistment to gain more manpower. Third, authorizes plans to save the abducted children. Fourth, approves of the joint military operation to fight the alien invaders. And fifth, expresses its hope that together we can stop the alien invasion. That is all. I yield my time to the chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Block of Honduras, are you open for any points of inquiry? If so, how many?
No.
Thank you, Delegate. Now that the presentation for the draft resolution is done, the floor shall now be closed. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Delegate of Brazil, you've been recognized.
Brazil motions to move into voting procedure.
The Delegate of Brazil motions to proceed to the voting procedure. Are there any objections to this motion? Are there any seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. Once again, I would like to remind the delegates that to those who said present during the roll call shall vote yes, no, or abstain, and to those who have said present and voting shall only vote whether it is a yes or a no. We will now set the voting procedure for the block of Honduras. Let us begin with the delegate of Algeria.
Yes.
Delegate of Australia.
Yes.
Delegate of Barbados.
Yes.
Delegate of Benin.
Yes.
Delegate of Brazil.
Yes.
Delegate of Cameroon.
Yes.
Delegate of France.
Yes.
Delegate of Honduras,
Yes.
Delegate of Jordan,
Yes.
Delegate of New Zealand,
Yes.
Delegate of Norway,
Yes.
Delegate of Philippines,
Yes.
Delegate of St. Lucia,
Yes.
Delegate of Sri Lanka,
Yes.
Delegate of Sudan,
Yes.
Delegate of Switzerland,
Yes.
Delegate of United Kingdom,
Yes.
and Delegate of Uzbekistan.
Yes.
Seeing that all has agreed, this paper is approved. And delegates, congratulations to the delegations of Brazil, France, Switzerland, Australia, Benin, Honduras, Norway, Philippines, Sri Lanka, UK, and Sudan. Thank you, delegates. Now would any delegate motion to adjourn this General Assembly? Delegate of United Kingdom, you've been recognized.
UK motion wants to adjourn this General Assembly.
The delegate of United Kingdom motions to adjourn the conference. Are there any delegates who seconds to this motion? Seeing seconds, the motion passes. The conference has now come to an end. Let us give ourselves a round of applause. Clap, 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 clap. Delegates, I would like to also remind every one of you that those resolutions that have been passed by the committee shall then be presented at the General Assembly, which will be held on Saturday. For the remaining days, which is tomorrow and Friday, the bloc of Brazil has the opportunity to still fix the format of this draft resolution. And that is all. Thank you, delegates. You may now be dismissed. Yay, guys. You are now dismissed. You can go now. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye,
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye
Thank you.
bye. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Yes. Oh my God.
Tapos na. Tapos na.
Yay!
Wala na
Tapos
tayo
na.
ano yan, no?
Start sa Saturday. Saturday, ano na, presenting ng draft resolution.
Di ba hindi naman ako yung andun?
Share doon.
Hindi na ako kasama.
Ayun lang, hindi ko alam.
Hindi ko HEDCen.
Ah!
Yes, tapos na yung
Finally. DJ, baka mamaya naka-stream ka pa. Sisikuhin ko ilang mo. DJ! Hindi ka na naka-stream, ah. Yay! Pasalinin ko si